Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren Scarzella, and today I will be talking about the evolution of data science ethics. I just think it's really important that we understand not just how data is used, but also how it should be used. And really, my goal is today to help us think about the ethical responsibilities within data science and how people like you can be affected by it. Let's start with the basics. What is data science? Data science is an interdisciplinary field that uses statistics, computer science, and domain knowledge to collect, process, and analyze data for the purpose of obtaining knowledge or solving a problem. In more simple terms, data science is more than just crunching numbers. It's about turning raw data into meaningful and actionable information. And data science is everywhere. And whether you realize it or not, you interact with data science all the time. If you ever received a Netflix, Spotify, or YouTube recommendation that you loved, that's data science. And if you've ever matched with someone on a dating app, that's an algorithm at work. I mean, even when you type into a search bar, scroll on social media, or get a fraud alert from your bank, all of those things are powered by data science. And this is what makes data science ethics so important. I mean, these technologies shape our lives in real and powerful ways. What do we mean by data science ethics? Data science ethics is the evaluation of how we collect, analyze, and use data in ways that could affect people, often without them even knowing. And at the heart of ethics is the idea of avoiding harm and maintaining trust. I mean, when we work with data, we're not just working with numbers, we're working with people's lives. And that means we have to be responsible with how we use that data. So oftentimes we need to ask ourselves, is this fair? Is it transparent? And will anyone be harmed by this? Let's take a look at some real world examples that show why ethics matter. First, let's consider automated credit scoring. And that has been around since about the late 80s. Many people are denied loans or charged higher interest rates by algorithms they can't understand and often, they can't even question. I mean, there's no transparency and little accountability when mistakes are made. And in some cases, all data can be considered credit data. So things like your social media presence and online purchases might even influence your credit score. I mean, that raises serious concerns about privacy and fairness. Next, there's AI in hiring. In 2014, Amazon developed a hiring algorithm that consistently favored male candidates for technical jobs. And now, why was that? Because it was trained on past hiring data, which reflected gender bias that was already present in the company. I mean, even though the intention may not have been malicious, the impact was real and unfair. And while AI can make the hiring process more efficient, sorting through thousands of resumes in seconds, employers often lack the ability to explain those decisions made by AI. Then, in 2016, there was an AI beauty contest put together by a company called Beauty.ai. And out of thousands of global entries, the winners were overwhelmingly white. And what was even more interesting is that many of the photos submitted actually came from Africa and India. So, why was that? I mean, the algorithm was trained on non-diverse data, which led to biased results. I mean, this just shows how a lack of diversity in data can reinforce harmful stereotypes. And each of these cases reveal a common theme. When ethics are overlooked, people can get hurt. Now, let's take a step back and look at how data science ethics have evolved. In the early days of computing, so around the 1940s to the 1960s, concerns were mostly about privacy. So computers made it a lot easier to store and access personal data. And people began wondering, who gets to see my information and how is it being used? This led to the development of the Fair Information Practice Principles in the 1970s. So these emphasize things like transparency, accountability, and user control. And all of these ideas still shape modern data laws today. As we move into the era of big data, so from about the 1970s to the 2000s, things got a little bit more complicated. There was an explosion of data collection, and with that came new challenges. And one big concern was algorithmic bias. So that's the idea that models can reflect and even amplify human biases that already exist. And we also started to question consent. Do users really know how their data is being used? Is anonymization enough? And it was also interesting that data also started to become a commodity. So, which raised questions about, whether businesses are actually using data properly. And this period also saw a shift in ethical thinking, from it shifted from just following the rules to asking broader questions like, is this right? And is this data being used responsibly? And in 2018, the General Data Protection Regulation, or the GDPR, served as a major turning point. This legal document set formal standards for data protection, like required informed consent and limiting data collection to what's truly necessary. Today, with the rise of AI, we have to worry about things like data surveillance technologies and also the movement of data across international borders and how AI is making decisions that affect people in very personal ways. In 2017, a data scientist, Kathy O'Neill, spoke with a Brooklyn high school principal whose teachers were being evaluated using a secret algorithm known as the, quote, value added model. And this algorithm was used to measure teacher performance, and that algorithm was not accessible, even to those it directly affected. Kiki Soros, a high school principal in Brooklyn, tried obtaining this formula, but was denied because she, quote, wouldn't understand it anyways. And Kathy O'Neill says, when I tried to get the formulas, the source code through the same means, I was told I couldn't. I was denied. I later found out that nobody in New York City had access to that formula. No one understood it. And based on that model, 206 teachers were fired. I mean, they had no way to defend themselves or understand why they were let go. And these algorithms aren't just technical, they're very real, and they make decisions that affect people's livelihoods. And when they're not transparent or accountable, they can really cause a lot of damage. So, we've seen how ethical concerns have shifted over time, from early worries about privacy and data misuse to modern concerns about bias, transparency, and accountability. We've also seen real-world consequences of unethical data practices and the importance of questions, not just what can we do with data, but what should we do? And with that being said, how should we move forward? So, we need to make ethics a part of every stage of the data process, from data collection to modeling and to decision making. That means number one, prioritizing fairness. asking ourselves, are our models treating people fairly? And number two, emphasizing explainability. Can we understand and communicate how our models work? And that means not just data scientists, but also employers, businesses, companies that are using these models. Lastly, number three, focusing on human impact. Who is affected by our work and, are we being responsible with our data? We all have a right to be informed citizens, and we all have a role to play in making sure data serves people, not the other way around. Um, yeah, that's all I wanted to go over today. Thank you for listening. And here is a list of my sources. Thank you.